happy Monday, happy Victory Monday for all who celebrate. And, as a Bills fan, I have a victory this morning. As a Penn State wrestler, team win and a pin, you had a win. So happy Victory Monday.
Happy Victory Monday.
I'm pumped to have you on, man. I've obviously known you for a while, and we chat here and there. And I was saying it last week when I had Bear Claw on the podcast that it's always fun to have you guys on when the relevance is highest and it makes the most sense. And I think the timing's great. After you had U20s, then you started the season. Now you're starting at 97. And it's like, let's have you on and let's get your story out there. And I was telling you this beforehand, there's so much intrigue around Penn State. There's so much greatness there. And it's funny because there's so many different aspects to it where you have, here you have Cal getting his 250th career dual win yesterday. You have you sliding into the lineup in a dominant fashion. You have a four-timer coming back for trying number 5, a four-timer retiring. There's so many different storylines within the program there. So it's going to be fun to dive into some of them. I guess since we are talking Victory Monday, I was thinking about it. You made your Bryce Jordan debut yesterday with a pin. I don't know that it can get any better. How do you make a better Bryce Jordan debut than a pin?
I don't think you can. It was fun. The whole team was just pinning and teching guys. So I think I was telling one of the guys last night. I was like, but when everybody's pinning and teching guys, like you can't stop. You can't be that oddball out. So I was like, all right, well, I don't got a choice. I got to go out there and smash this dude. So, yeah, it was fun. I'm excited for those Michigan and Iowa matches in there, though. Those are going to be the real fun ones. So I'm excited for those ones.
And you were going to have Joey Novak, who's a top 15 guy, and that was going to be one of the most intriguing matchups. Wyoming obviously isn't that strong this year. I think I tweeted out the term mollywopped. You guys mollywopped them 54-0. Did you? At what point did you realize Novak wasn't wrestling? Because that was going to be the premier match of the night.
Coach Casey told me kind of earlier in the week that some of the guys were banged up, and he told me it'd be right for anybody, but he said there's a chance that that he wouldn't show up, and basically just found out for sure at weigh-ins. But
yeah,
I carry that mindset. It's whoever, wherever. I don't really care. I'm training to be the best version of myself. I'm not training to beat these guys. I think that when I'm wrestling my best and I'm training to be my best, I can beat all of them. So that's just kind of how I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say, too, that, like, when a guy is banged up, it doesn't mean he's ducking somebody. But I do believe the guy who shows up should always be rewarded. I had said this. Willie and I were recapping CKLV, and it's like, when guys like Figs and Ferrari don't show up, like, if they're banged up, it is what it is. But you should always reward the guys who are showing up and making the effort. So let's go back. Before we talk about the college season, I do want to rewind just a little bit to U20s because last year you had an interesting offseason. Before we even talk about U20 World Team Trials, you lost 10-0 to Aiden Sinclair in the U.S. Open Finals. Then you beat him 2 in a row in dominant fashion to make the U20/junior World Team spot. I think we should stick to cadets and juniors. I hate U20s. I hate U17.
I agree.
Complete sidebar, but so what happened in that first match with Sinclair, and then the turnaround was a completely different outcome?
Yeah, man, he's a tough kid. He whipped me up in Vegas. I was I had just beat the Minnesota guy before that, and I kind of was going into the tournament. I thought that the Minnesota guy was going to be my toughest match, and not that I was taking Sinclair lightly, but I definitely didn't take him as seriously as I should, and he made me pay for it, and I sucked. There's nothing worse than after I went undefeated my redshirt season. Wrestled a duel, wrestled a couple tournaments. I felt really good. And you get freaking 10-0 by a high score. You're like, holy crap! Like what just happened? So it was interesting. I learned a lot about myself in that tournament just after that match, and that preparation leading into trials. It was very focused. That was probably some of the most focused training I've ever had in my life. That month period there between Vegas and trials. So I learned a lot about myself, and it was a good time for growth and just a lot of aspects, but a couple, personal areas, I just kind of had to grow up in. So it was good.
Yeah, and so you do beat him 2 in a row at the Junior World Team Trials. You make it to the World Championships, and then you go on a dominant run. I think it was like 10-0, 10-0, 10-0, and then you lose to a Russian Kadyrov 8-2 in the finals. What did you take away from that World Championships? And, I've always thought, and I could be wrong because I have no experience in this, but it always seems like it's a great way to prime yourself for the season. I know the college season is long, but when you have those matches, when you have those learning lessons, and then you have that experience of going through World Championships, like what was your takeaway and how did that kind of prep you for the season?
It was unique, and that was my first World Championships ever. I had never wrestled a guy outside of the U.S., so it was cool to see that style and just kind of how other countries operate. You're kind of in like a little warm up area, and it's all the countries that are competing there in that area, and it's unique. I think I was like really excited that week because we got there like 4 or 5 days earlier, before I competed, and it was cool to get the excitement of having to compete and also like trying to chill myself out because you're 5 days out from competing. I was so excited, and Coach Casey's just like, "Now calm down, like you got a lot of time, before you compete." So I think it was cool. It was a unique experience. And just feeling those foreign guys, the way they wrestle, like I smashed those first three guys, but I still got a good feel from them. And then the Russian I wrestled in the finals was obviously very good. And I got my butt kicked a little bit by him too, but it was a good experience and just feeling those different positions from those guys, like, those that guy's one of the best guys in the world right now at 86 kilos.
Mm-hmm.
Just being able to get that experience now, and when it comes time for senior worlds and Olympics and stuff, I'll have that experience under my belt. So I'm just grateful for it, and yeah, it was definitely a good feel for the season because I think that like that guy I wrestled in the finals, he's like I said, he's one of the best guys in the world. I'm not gonna be wrestling those guys every day, like every
Yeah.
weekend. So that's just good experience overall. I love competing against those guys, and I get to wrestle against Aaron Brooks, who is the best guy in the world at 86 kilos. So
Right.
grateful for that too.
It you do have to also not to pound and pile on the gratitude, but for a sport that my biggest complaint, if I was a wrestler, would be where you have to travel to compete internationally. Some of the guys
Hmm.
this weekend, David Carr, Spencer Lee, a few others are going to Kazakhstan. At least for your first World Championships, it was in Spain. It's a beautiful city, so
Yeah,
at least it's like
yeah.
you're not in the dead of Russia or something like that. I
Hmm.
mean, for a location, it doesn't get much better than that when you're traveling overseas.
Yeah, it was beautiful, and my whole family was able to come. My dad, mom, little brother, and my girlfriend was able to come. So it was awesome. It was a great experience. We spent a lot of time. That was like, I had to like find like a weird balance because we had a lot of time on our hands,
Yeah.
besides losing weight and stuff, and because we were there so early. So like we were doing things, and then part of me is like, oh, I need to like sit in my room and not do anything, and part of me is like, I don't know, the next time I'm going to be in Ponte Vedra, Spain. So I was like, I might as well
Right.
go and have some fun. And it was good. I was able to relax and do things, with the family and stuff I normally wouldn't do a competition week. And it kind of made me have this perspective of like, even if you're, 3, 4 days out from the World Championships, you don't need to just be thinking about wrestling. Like I'm still a person at the end of the day. I can go and get a coffee. I can go and go sightsee in a cool country I've never been to, and still compete well that same week. Those things. I used to be one of these guys. It's like the week, 2 weeks before competition. I'm like, all right, if I'm not wrestling, I'm locking myself in the bedroom. I'm not talking to anybody. But that stuff doesn't really
No,
correlate.
it, yeah, and it's like if with anything in life, if you lock yourself in the room and think about a girlfriend or a breakup or a business decision or whatever, like it's tough. Sometimes you got to
Mhm.
disconnect. And,
Yeah.
one of the things too that was interesting to see from a fan perspective was half of the junior world team was either Nittany Lion wrestlers or commits. You had
Hmm.
Lilladol 57, Duke at 70, Ryder 79, you at 86, and then Murasola at 92. Literally
And now we got
half.
Marcus.
Yeah. So
Now we got
six.
Marcus.
Now Blaze is
Yeah.
committed, so six. So when you have that, what is that camaraderie like? Because I got to imagine it enhances the team dynamic, especially as you do have more downtime where I don't know any other circumstance where those 5 or 6 of you would be in the same spot for a week, hanging
Mhm.
out, competing together, having the fellowship. What was that
Yeah.
like, and how do you think it kind of played into the dynamic as you guys all head into, college now?
So it honestly to me, because I had went on a lot of trips last year with the team, well, not a lot, but I went on a good amount of them and stuff, and it just felt like another college trip, you're with we had Coach Casey was there, Coach Cody was there, Coach Nick was there, and our NIL director, Clay, was there, and then, we had 5 guys at the time, and then obviously Marcus just committed, but, it just felt like another college trip, and it makes you feel, confident because like, I'm in the room with those guys every single day. So it's like there's nothing better than going through the workouts that you go through with your guys and then going and being able to compete and see that success, alongside your guys. So it's just something to be really grateful for. And you kind of, you just know each other well. You know what everybody's thinking, kind of what people are feeling, and it just allows you to compete more freely because you got your guys doing it with you. And I obviously enjoyed being around the whole team. I obviously don't know some of them as well, but yeah, being there with 4 other guys and then now Marcus was super fun.
And kind of related, kind of unrelated, but Lilidal, Duke, Marsola, you like this is. It's always funny. I've been talking about this for the last decade with Penn State, where it's always as a fan, it's sad when certain guys graduate, and it's like earlier on when this Penn State dynasty started, it was like, well, good luck replacing David Taylor and Ed Ruth. Good luck replacing Jason Nolf and Zane Rutherford and Bo Nickel. And not just from a competitive standpoint, but they're so fun. And time again, Penn State has rolled out freshmen that aren't just good wrestlers, they're good humans, they're fun to watch.
Mhm.
And you're obviously, a part of that, where you are a part of shaping this next generation of Nittany Lions. Again, you had 3 of those guys, 4 including Blaze on the team with you, 5.
Mhm.
What is that like, being a part of this group that's going to kind of shape this next generation of Penn State wrestling through these next, 4 years?
I think that, kinda like the mindset I think our coaches take into it is not like replacing guys, but I think just trying to help everybody on the team become the best they can be, and I think that we're really focused on just having fun and getting better. So I think that when you take that mindset, and obviously with the talent level of high school wrestlers nowadays, like I feel like it wasn't my class was good in high school, obviously, but I feel like these last 2 classes have been and the classes and the guys that are still in high school right now are it's crazy. Like these guys are I mean, Marcus Blaze almost made a senior world team,
It's
like
insane.
he wrestled that Ono kid to the closest match he's had, and through senior worlds and junior worlds. Like these guys are really freaking good in high school right now. So I think that if you take that mindset of just focus on having fun and becoming the best that you can be, not trying to replace, these guys, but just being the best guy and the best wrestler that you can be, I think it makes it a whole lot easier because there's not a whole lot of pressure. Like I'm filling in you could say I'm filling in for Aaron this year, but, like, in my mindset, I'm just trying to be the best Josh Barr I can be,
Hmm.
like, Aaron's a great role model for me, he's a great man of God, and, someone I really, look to for advice and help and stuff, but, like, my mindset is not like, "Oh, I have to be a 4-time national champ because Aaron was." My
Hmm.
mindset's like, "I gotta be the best Josh Barr, for God," that's who I'm serving as God, so it's like, that's what I'm focused on. I think that's what all the guys on our team are focused on, just being the best they can be. And I think that's why um, we continuously have so much success is that we're just focused on being the best we can be, not trying to please other people or, try and fill in for these guys.
Yeah. No, for sure. And so coming to Penn State to kind of bring this back to college now. So you were 125 and 1 in high school, which is absolutely insane. Um, I mean, I wrestled in high school. I was no good. I can't imagine. I'd probably be so cocky if I was that good. Just being truthful. Like I where I'm going with this question, I'll we'll get there in a second. But like, I got whooped in practice, and my only fruit, aside from the discipline and life lessons, was like watching my training partners succeed and grow, and that was a blessing in and of itself. But on top
Hmm.
of that, the success you've had, it does give you that confidence, that pride, that ego that everybody has of like when you're competing at that level. And for you, you head into Penn State and you just get whooped in practice. And it's not like you're just making a jump from high school to college. You're making a
Hmm.
jump to, without a doubt, the best room in the country. And the guys your weight, not just one, but multiple time national champs, Brooks
Mhm.
four-timer, Strachey four-timer, and I know there are only three-timers when you got there, but
Mhm.
this transition of going from being a four-time state champ, 125-1, to not being able to get a takedown on these guys right when you get there. What was that transition like for you?
It was very similar to me going into high school actually, because I was high school teammates with Alex Facundo, and, I got my butt whooped up by him for a good 2 years straight. So it was very similar to that. So I went into college with some butt whooping practice, getting my butt whooped practice. So it was tough. My first practice actually was with Max Dean, and he just freaking turned me left and right. And I was like, "Oh my god, like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna be good enough on bottom to get away from these guys." Because I was like, "Holy crap!" Like I felt like I was going 100%. He wasn't even trying, but um, it was it's tough on you mentally because a little bit, but our coaches are good at keeping us in it. But that first, because my last 2 years of high school, I had a lot of success, and I felt like I was one of the best guys in the country at my weight class, and it didn't really, uh, I lost a couple times like Rocco Welsh, and I lost my junior year to Manny Rojas, and a couple other matches in there at trials and stuff, but, you didn't lose a whole lot, and then you go to losing, pretty much every day because I'm trying to go with the best guys every single day. I'm trying to go with Carter and Aaron and Coach Kale and Coach Casey and Max and all these guys, and, it's just keeping yourself in it mentally, knowing that, like, eventually one day it's gonna click, you don't know when that is, you just gotta kinda have that hope and faith that one day, it's gonna click and you're gonna get there, and I'm still not there. I still get my butt whipped all the freaking time, like, Jake Barr can just grab my head, still put it in the mat, it's not too much has changed, I still get my butt kicked a lot, but now I'm just able to, kinda kick other guys' butts a little bit better when I'm competing, but, those guys haven't changed, Carter's still getting better, Aaron's still getting better. It's not like those guys were plateauing when I was there,
Right.
they're still getting a whole lot better, and I'm still on that trajectory too, I'm trying to get better, but I'm still a long ways behind them, but I'm grateful for it 'cause, it keeps you humble, like,
Yeah.
it keeps you really humble, and it's seeing the way that, like, a guy like Aaron, Aaron can kick 99% of the guys 99.9% of the guys' butts in the world, he could smash all those guys, and he's, like, one of the most humble people you'll ever meet, so, just I think I'm just grateful, that I have those kind of partners. I'd rather go into practice, having to fight for my life to get one takedown than, going in and getting 1,000 because I've gotten a lot better doing it this way than I have
Yeah.
any other way, so.
Aaron, as humble as he is, my only complaint about Aaron is he's one of the worst text messengers of all time. He just he'll respond to a text like 3 weeks later. I'm like, Aaron, we got to get you better with text. He is a great kid. What did
Yeah,
those
he's awesome.
what did those losses and those struggles early kind of teach you? It seems like you have a great mindset now, and obviously you haven't lost a college match yet. You've won like 21 matches, no losses. So it's always easier to kind of look back and say, okay, I see what it did. When you were going through the thick of it, what were you realizing in kind of real time? Like how were you adapting to it, and what kind of like lessons was it teaching you?
Just to be patient. I think patience is the number one thing. Obviously we're working on technique all the time and all these things, and then, but yeah, I'd wrestle live, and I wasn't able to translate anything I was learning, anything I was doing to the live. Like I was having no success at all, and you kind of just sit there and you're like, it's the self doubt kicks in and everything, all the voices kick in, and it's like you're not cut out for this, whatever. And then you kind of just realize eventually that those things are clicking, but also like I'm also not going to be able to hit this technique that Coach Kale is showing that he's worked on for 25 years after practicing it for 5 times. I'm not going to be able to hit it on Aaron Brooks. It's not going to
Sure.
work on Aaron Brooks right away. So I
Yeah.
think just being patient and letting those things marinate, very few things, that are like big time things happen very quickly. Things happen in a split second in a match, but a lot of the times you've done those things countless, thousands of times, So I think just letting the butt kickings marinate, getting one takedown a day marinate, all these things, just letting it grow and stuff, and um, eventually it's going to click, and you're going to figure it out. And I haven't really figured it out yet. I don't think I'll ever figure it out completely. that's just kind of how I think. You know, I want to grow until the day I die. That's how I want to be. Um, so I think that just being patient and letting things happen as they happen. I'm a big believer in God's timing over mine, God's will over mine, and just a big thing too for me was taking my identity out of wrestling once I got to college because in high school, like you said, you know, all those things it could build your ego and your confidence
Right.
up. And I was you know finding myself getting pretty cocky my senior year, I'd say. Um, and then you get to college and it kind of gets kicked right out of you, and then you're like you gotta kind of figure out who you are as a man. And I figured out that, you know, as much as I love the sport and love everything to do with wrestling and the workouts and the competing and all the people it's brought into my life, at the end of the day, first of all, I'm a son of God and a man of God. And I had to take my identity out of wrestling because it was in wrestling when I got to college. And that's been huge for me because honestly, I care a lot less about wrestling now than I did when I got here because I've learned that you know, it's not all I have. And I still love it to death. I still train my butt off every single day. Like it's my last wrestling practice ever. And I still compete as hard as I can every single time. But I also um I realize that that's not all who I am. So
Yeah, and it's got to be fun too, you know, when you are a believer in Christ and you have teammates. Man, I've had this conversation so many times like on this podcast where having that faith kind of keeps those highs from being too high and those lows being
mhm,
too lows. And I got to imagine, especially early on, is you have all the success and then there's got to be an element of frustration, obviously. And when you can lean into that faith and like you said, kind of
mhm,
remind yourself about what's important, and the aspect of having incredible teammates too. It's like
mhm.
I couldn't imagine wrestling a guy like Brooks and being frustrated, and him being like this cocky guy, you know,
Yeah.
versus who he
Uh-huh.
is, like the most uplifting, encouraging guy ever.
Yeah.
Man, that has to help. Did you are there times early on that you look back in, maybe it was like an early takedown or an early like practice room W that you had? Is there any that really stick out looking back now?
Not really. I don't remember much. I just know I got my butt kicked a lot, but I think the things I do remember are like the conversations I've had about, you know, that kind of stuff. Like I remember one day I wrestled Coach Kale and he kept doing this roll through thing and he put me on my back like 50 times with the same move. And then like at the end he like showed me what to do, you know, how to stop it. And I was like, I can't believe I didn't think of that. But I think of like those little moments, you know, of those
Yeah.
conversations I've had. And like I've had a lot of really good conversations with Aaron and I wrestle Aaron. I've been wrestling Aaron a lot. And I get so much out of him wrestling, but I think, you know, the wisdom and everything I've gained from him just talking to him has been far greater than anything
Yeah.
I'll ever learn on a wrestling mat. So I think I just hold on to those things and try and implement, you know, little things, little ideologies and perspectives and stuff from the guys I learned. Because, like, honestly, like, we have grade A human beings in our wrestling room. Like, we
Hmm.
have, as good as we are at wrestling, we're a lot better of a team, you know, just as humans, I think. You know, we have
Yep.
so much diversity and just guys from all different walks of life, and it combines to make this really cool environment where people you can just be yourself and grow, and you can learn anything from anybody on our team. And that's the thing I'm like super grateful about. And those are the things I pull away from everything is just the conversations and the knowledge and the wisdom.
There's a lot of meatheads and meatballs in wrestling.
Hmm.
100%. It's the nature of anytime you have a combat, super athletic sport. Same with
Hmm.
football. But there's truly, you know, the guys in that room, like you said, I've had hours and hours of conversations like where Nick Lee or Aaron Brooks, as examples, will call and talk about something, whether it's scripture, whether it's about life, and then time goes like
Hmm.
this. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Um, so you redshirt last year. You went like 15-0. What was your thoughts heading into this season? With, you know, there was originally you were kind of slated to go 84, and then Carter
Hmm.
decides let's come back one more year. You decide to bump up, and even bumping up. What was that perspective like for you? Because it's not like 97 was just a hole. Like there's a lot of good
Hmm.
guys there too. So if you bumped up and went
Yeah.
to 97, you knew that it was going to be a dogfight. What was your perspective heading into this year as far as weight goes?
At first, I was definitely a little nervous, because I was like, probably when Carter made the decision that he's gonna come back, go 84, I was probably walking around at like 190, 192. I wasn't that big for 84 even, and I was definitely a little nervous, like going into it. And then Coach Kale, like one day, I talked with him, and I was like, "Do you think like I can even get big enough to go 97?" Because I was like, "What's the point? Like if I'm not gonna get big enough and stuff." And he's like, "You could just weigh in at 192 and still kick all these guys' butts." And I was like, "Oh." I was like, "I didn't know that."
Oh, okay.
So, I think after I had that conversation, I was like, I had a little bit more hope in it, and I was like, "All right, I'm just gonna try and get as big as I can, and we'll see how it works out." So this is kind of during the time period of um, really just, like, after World Team Trials, I think. So after I made the team, because the 86 kilos is 189, so I didn't cut anything for Vegas. I didn't really cut anything for, trials either. I think I was probably walking around 192. And then, after that, I went home for a week. I took a week off. My eye was split open really bad, and I was just like, "Alright, I'm not gonna step on a scale for a while," because I went home for a week, and then I got back, and I was like, "I'm just gonna eat, and we'll see how things go." And then I think so that was, like, early June when I kinda made that decision. I was just gonna try my best to get big, and then I think probably late July, I stepped on a scale, and I was, like, 197 after practice one day, and
Damn.
I was like, "Do I look fat today?" I'm like, "Is there something wrong with me?" And, so the next morning, I weighed myself, and I was, like, 199 in the morning. I was like, "Oh, I got big." And so I started taking creatine for the first time my whole life, and, I'm sure you've seen all the articles about the cow from Kasak.
I can't believe how
I
like
got
viral that went.
I know, people love it, but, so yeah, I've been buying beef that's from Mr. Kasek since I got here. I just started eating it more, when I decided I was gonna go up. But the weight honestly came on easy, and I filled out. I think I was still kinda skinny, when I was an 84 pounder, and, I kinda just filled out a little bit, and now I feel really good at the weight. I'm not as big as some guys, but honestly, like, I feel really good every time I weigh in. The weight comes off easy when I need to get it off, and I just feel good when I step on that mat. That's all that matters.
I want to keep talking about weight, but one thing about this beef is that I'm honestly surprised that more Americans don't do this. We just bought
Yeah.
quarter of a cow and went through it like this. And when this article came
Mhm.
about you buying beef, I'm like, I'm honestly surprised that more people don't do that. And I'm like, it's funny that it happens
Yeah.
to be a teammate's dad, but I'm definitely surprised
Yeah.
more people don't do that.
It caught me off guard that so many people were surprised because I was like, "You guys don't realize how expensive it is." Like, we have a Wegmans here in State College, and the freaking grass-fed, grass-finished ribeyes are like $33 a pound. I'm like, I'm not doing that, you know? So it's like, you get it you get it from, a butcher, happens to be Mr. Kasak's dad. It's like $5 a pound, maybe $6 a pound, like way, way cheaper. Like, maybe not even that, so it's like, yeah, I don't know.
I'm
I'm
think it
advising
was
all people to do that.
I think we spent like 490 or something a pound, and you do it
Yeah.
hanging weight, so it's like it's all your beef combined. So some of it might be fillet, some might be ground beef, some might be a prime rib. My only tweak was
Mhm.
I just got to change it up a bit because we had some like small cuts or like I wanted a bigger prime rib, little things. But yeah, that's so fun.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do rapid fire in a little bit to end the show.
Okay.
But one question a lot of people were wondering is if like this move to 97, if you think it is a temporary thing, would you go back to 84 next year? Have you given that much thought at all? Like it seems like you're just trying to get bigger in general, not necessarily let me see if I can puff up for a year, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely not looking to just puff up for a year. I think that, I did it smart. I did it, I lifted weights and I ate a lot, but I didn't like it was all clean. It was all I ate, like, completely. I eat, like, really, really clean, so, yeah, I did it the right way, and, yeah, I see everybody always asking about that, people asking me that in person and stuff, and honestly, I'm worried about, um, my practice tomorrow. I'm not even worried about this weekend yet. So, next year will take care of itself when it comes. Like I said, I'm a big believer in God's will and timing, and whatever that brings, it'll bring. So
I
I'm not
really hope
really thinking at all about that.
I really hope younger wrestlers are listening to this because The amount of wrestlers lately on this podcast, from yourself to Bo Bassett and everybody in between, that are feeling better not cutting weight.
Yeah.
It's such a blessing to hear. Like, my son's almost 3 years old. I'm honestly almost dreading him starting to wrestle whenever he does, just because of the fact that I know how crazy it gets nowadays, especially. And it's like,
Hmm.
man, these lessons of like not cutting weight and also just trusting in God is the process and the plan, and having
Hmm.
patience. Some really and buying beef. I mean, this lesson is just
Yeah.
filled with golden nuggets. um,
Yeah. I would strongly advise against cutting weight. I think that once you start focusing on you have basically 2 options every day you go into practice during the season. You could either be trying to lose weight or trying to get better at wrestling, and you get a lot better at wrestling when you're trying to get better at wrestling instead of cut weight. So I think that especially when you're growing up, if any young kids are watching this, I would not advise cutting weight at all. Wrestle up 2 weight classes. You're gonna get better, you're gonna get stronger. Trust me, it works out.
And I think too, like, there are always guys who look bigger than the weight class they're at.
Mhm.
Ryan Deacon was an example. Right now, Etchemendia looks like he's a bigger guy. It's how jacked he is. But also, like,
Yeah.
Bo Nickel never looked like he was the weight he was at. Bo
Mhm.
always looked like he was a skinny guy. He reminds me a lot of you, where it's like you don't necessarily look and just think, like, again, there's specimens like Ryan Deacon that look like they're a bodybuilder. You don't
Mhm.
always have to look like that. And even if you're
Yeah.
Bo Bassett's a great example. Like, man, just the value there in, like you said, getting better and not cutting weight. And two, speaking of development, it's crazy that a guy like David Taylor, one of the greatest in the world, greatest ever do it, can leave the room, go take a coaching job, and still the Penn State room stays one of, if not the best upper weights room in the country. You got veterans like Brooks and Cal and Casey and Varner. You've got younger guys like the Marisola, Lucas, all these guys. I mean, I imagine there's definitely some competitiveness amongst the college guys and younger guys, but that seems to me just the physical definition of iron sharpening iron in that room.
Yeah, 100%. We're blessed, I think that, we're just grateful for what we got, and, I mean, we have an abundance of everything, of every weight. We got the best guys in the world, at every weight, in my opinion, so, um, and our guys just freaking work hard, and they're good guys, so, it just works out.
Yeah, what a blessing. And when Willie and I were doing our college season preview, he had mentioned, excuse me, that he didn't know which Penn State guy was going to go at 97. He didn't know if you would be the guy at 97. And I broke his balls about it. I FaceTimed you. I
Mhm.
sent him the picture. And even for you, you said there was obviously still some nervousness coming into it. And one of the things that I had said right away to him was like, listen, we'll find out right away where Josh is. I can be as biased or as bullish on him as possible, but you have one of the toughest schedules. Seeing five of the
Yeah.
top 6 or 7 dudes in the country. You just majored Michael Beard. I think it was like 3 takedowns to none in the process. What do you think of having such a tough schedule right out of the gate as a freshman?
I love it. It's, something I've said in some of my interviews in these past couple weeks was, every time you compete, you get exposed, whether you're doing the right things or the wrong things, and I like exposing myself to this outside competition. It's a lot better than wrestling in our wrestling room, I'll tell you that, because I could either get my butt whooped by Aaron Brooks or I can go try it against someone else. So I'd rather try it against all these other guys. So I'm grateful for it. I can't wait. It gets me out of bed in the morning. It excites me, and it gives you like a strong sense of purpose. When you're in that wrestling room. You're training for to beat the best guys in the country, and that's how I train anyways. And like I said earlier, I'm not like focusing on one of these guys. Like this weekend, I might wrestle the Missouri guy or the Little Rock guy. But, it doesn't like, I'm not game planning for those guys. I'm gonna go out there and beat Josh Barr and be the best person I can be, the best wrestler I can be for 7 minutes or however long it takes, and we'll go back to the drawing board and get better. And no matter what, no matter if I tech these guys or get teched, I'm gonna get better either way. So I'm just looking for these opportunities to get better, and that's what I think of. And like when I think of the schedule I have, like I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get a whole lot better, and it's gonna really show in March, when that time comes. But for now, I'm just focused on, like I said, practice tomorrow. That's what I'm worried
Yeah,
about.
I love that. And when you do start with such a dominant start with a tough schedule, and then you have a dominant performance like you did against Michael Beard. Does that match solidify or further your confidence, especially at 97, or was that confidence kind of already established in the room for you?
It was already there. It was already there. I wrestle, like I said, like I've been saying this whole time, since I got to college, I wrestle with the best guys in the world in my weight class. So it's like nothing else could give me more confidence than getting to train with Aaron Brooks and Coach Kale and Connor Mearsol and Lucas Cochran and all these guys. Like these are my training partners every day. So that gives me confidence because those guys are the best guys in the country and in the world.
Yeah, it is when you say all these names and you mention Kale and Cochran and Mearsola, like there is so much depth in that room. There's a lot of great wrestlers, and we kind of talked about how they're good humans. Excuse me, but what do you think makes this Penn State culture so special? Guys continue to win. Guys continue to get better. You continue to, as a program, recruit well. Like the Penn State culture is so special. It's one of, if not the greatest dynasties in sports right now. Sorry for the Penn State haters listening to just critique what we're saying right now. But what would you say makes the Penn State culture so special?
Um, I would say that we all love each other. I think we'd all die for each other. The coaches set a very strong basis of they will like truly do anything for us. So I think that just we know that as athletes that our coaches are there for us beyond wrestling. Like if you took wrestling out of the equation for all of us, they are still there for us no matter what. And I think that we all have a common goal in mind. We all just want to get better every day, be the best people that we can be, best wrestlers that we can be. And I think that we're all very interested in each other's success as well. I think that we all look out for each other. We're all very, I think that we'd all sacrifice for each other. So I think when you have a brotherhood like that, that's willing to, kind of forfeit their own success to see their brother's success, it pays off in creating um, just a really good environment that just creates monsters on the wrestling mat and great people. So I think that we have, some guys that you'll never know their names that are like the best humans you'll ever meet, and you have, guys who are winning four national titles, five national titles. Um, that you'll always hear their names, but I think that everybody on our team plays a very significant role in the success, and I think that they everybody knows that too. Some guys will never start ever, and they know that they play a huge role still. So I think there's just a lot of purpose on our team and a lot of just grade A human beings.
I love that. And Penn State is known for having like a really good mix of both veterans and younger talents. Has there been someone who you could point to as maybe the most influential figure for you in terms of leadership?
It's Aaron Brooks by far. That dude is. I mean, our coaches are amazing. I'd say like athlete wise though, Aaron for sure. He's just so full of wisdom, so full of just good things, man. He's blessed, he's gifted, and he shares his gifts with everybody. He shares his knowledge, and he's just a blessing of a dude to be around. So that'd be like my veteran guy. And then I think the younger guy would probably have to be Zach Ryder, man. He is a treat of a human being to be around. He's
He's a
awesome,
great
and
kid.
he's loud and he just lets everybody know what he's thinking. But that kid, he just knows how to compete, man. So he's a good dude to be around. I really love Zach, and it's been cool, kind of, because I feel like me and Zach have a really cool relationship. Like he was here last year, like in our RTC or whatever for his senior year. Like I don't even know what they call that anymore, but he was here, and
Yep.
so we got close over the year, and it's been cool. He's asked me a lot of questions, and stuff that like I didn't even have answers for. He's like trying to get knowledge and insight, and it's like he's really pushed me to grow too because he's asked me questions that I don't quite have the answer to yet, and I'm like, let me get back to you on that. Like, well, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
still learning too, so Zach's helped me a lot to just learn about myself, I think, and he's just fun to be around.
Well, it's funny because somebody was asking me, like, do I think you'll go back down to 84 next year? And I'm like, I don't think so. I said, we typically see guys go up. I said, by the way, they have a guy who's pretty good, Zach Ryder, at 84. It's like,
Yeah,
again,
Zach's a stud.
it's not like there's there's these holes where somebody can easily move to a weight and fill that gap like you sometimes see.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's so exciting, and the culture is so deep. And I had Bear Claw on here last week, and he
Mhm.
obviously graduated Penn State. He was there for 4 or 5 years, had the COVID eligibility, and he went to Utah Valley. And man, it's so cool to see him thrive, and he's teaching stuff to people. He's serving as that leadership role. Where I told him, like, man, you kind of went from like just being one of the workhorses in the room, maybe getting a match here or there, to you're being the guy at Utah Valley. And you could see the joy, and even Penn State fans rooting for him now. And that's, when you see this NIL culture and transfer portal, and people are surprised that a guy doesn't transfer out as soon as he doesn't get a spot, they should come back and listen to this interview, because it sounds like what you're
Yeah.
saying is like the culture is so strong. Even if you're not starting this year, or even if you're don't have this solidified plan, that it's still worth kind of sticking around and being a part of the program. Do you feel that way from your perspective?
Way deeper than money. You could drain my bank account. I'd be here till the day I die. I love this place, and I think that most people here feel the same. I'd say everybody, honestly, but um, I love this place, man. It's amazing. The culture's amazing. It's deeper than money. All of this is deeper than money. It's just my opinion as a man of God too. I'm not over here obsessed with money really. It's not my main focus in life. I want to live a joyous, happy life, and I'm able to do that at Penn State. So way
And,
deeper than money
and
for me.
listen, but speaking of money, if you are looking for an NIL athlete, I can tell you that Josh Barr is a heck of a human being. And if you do want to partner with someone, I can fully vouch for him because the dude is awesome. All right, so before we get to rapid fire, you have a big weekend. There's 3 duels. We don't know who's wrestling yet. I don't think Rocky Elam is going to be able to go this weekend. I think he's still a bit banged up, so I don't think we see that. But you could see another top 5 guy in Stephen Little with Little Rock. How excited are you, again, not to kind of beat the tough schedule thing to death, but it is a very exciting weekend at the collegiate journeyman duels. They're on Rockfin. So for those wondering, how excited are you for yet another opportunity to have a top 5 guy early in the season?
Another opportunity to get better, expose myself to those guys, and yeah, I'm excited. Just go get my hands on some guys. That's what's fun. Competing's fun. Training's fun, but competing's a whole lot more fun because I'm doing it against guys I don't know. So I like that the best. And it's in
And it,
Nashville. I think it's a cool city. I've never been there, so
yeah,
it'll be
it's
fun.
also cool too that from a perspective of like, there's a lot of guys who kind of protect their ranking and their seed, and it's always cool when you hear somebody just say, "I just want to go out there and compete. I just want to go out there and compete," versus trying to protect a ranking or a seed throughout the year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that stuff's pointless. Like at the end of the day, the guy who feels the best, and the guy who wrestles the best on those 3 days of March is going to win a national title every year, every weight. That's what happens. So I think that it's the second week of December right now, so it's not that big of a deal. Let's go have some fun and compete hard.
I agree. All right, let's do some rapid fire from Instagram. I'm gonna some kind of already touched on, but I'll try to find some good ones in here. We'll start with a teammate. I won't say who, asking who gave you the nickname JBZ.
Shane Van Ness, baby.
What rank do you give yourself in the PSU dodgeball leaderboards?
Uh, I'm probably outside of the top 15. I'm not the best.
How about this one? Why did you choose PSU and not to be a powerhouse with your buddies at UOM?
University of Michigan.
Yeah.
Uh, Penn State's the best place in the world. No
If
other
you
answer.
if you could set up any hypothetical NCAA matchup all time, is there one you'd want to see?
Uh, Selfishly, probably Coach Kale and Aaron.
That would be an absolute great one. What is the mental state before and after a match?
Before is usually let's go have fun. That's all I think about. Kind of get a little bit of a idea of what the guy will do from one of the coaches. They'll kind of tell you like what hand he's going to shoot with, and then I think about that, and I'm like, all right, let's go stop that and have some fun, and then and just do my thing. And then after is kind of no matter what, I try to get myself back to a even keeled mindset right away. No matter if I just smash a really good guy or I don't wrestle well at all, I try and get back to normal right away. Not get too high, not get too low.
Yeah. Who is your main drill partner this season?
Probably either Carter or Aaron. I go with those guys the most.
Here's a tough one. Where do you think Bo Bassett should go?
Penn State. I think everybody should come to Penn State.
Do you have a pre-match song that you like the most?
I don't listen to music before I wrestle.
Not enough people don't listen to music. I'm a big
Yeah, no.
in the car guy. I only I call people when I'm in a car. I don't listen to music. It seems like it's becoming a little bit more popular, and I'm liking the trend.
Yeah, I like music, but Coach Kale tells us that it's probably best to just kind of listen to the environment. So I like doing that. I think it's fun.
Love that. What's the best way to get into wrestling shape?
Wrestle.
This is a funny one. I don't know. Maybe I can put this on the screen. Why do you look like if Kyle Dake and Bo Nickel had a baby?
I tell you what, when we have our Penn State summer camps, I hear no Bickle more than anything. It is absolutely terrible. I mean, I'm not Kyle Dake and Bo are handsome dudes, but I look like Josh Barr. Come on now.
Oh man, that's funny. You do kind of have the Bo Nickel voice a little bit. Like I can hear the resemblance. Can you describe how you jumped levels from wrestling in the PSU room?
Being okay with getting my butt kicked and trying to figure out how to not get my butt kicked.
Yeah. All right, I think that's pretty much a lot of the good ones. We covered some of these other ones. Yeah. All right. Last one is, did you finish the cow yet, or did you order another one?
No, I have not, but I'm ordering another one soon. Probably mid-January we'll be getting another one.
I love that. Oh, man.
Yeah.
All right, Josh, any final words here before I let you go? Get on. I know you have a nice, easy recovery day, but I want to let you ease into that. It is first thing Monday morning.
Yeah, just thank you for having me on. I appreciate the time, and let's have some fun this season.
Awesome. And I'm going to link up Josh, all of his social stuff. Go follow him on Instagram. Go follow him on Twitter. He is active, and it's always great when wrestlers kind of give you like an inside look at how things are going and the season through their lens. So we'll definitely have him back on the podcast too. This might be his first time, but definitely not his last time. So Josh, thank you for coming on, man, and we'll chat soon.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Awesome. See you, man.
And the beat goes on.